properties, and I was a store trainer, and I'd be training kitchen crews and then go to the next property. And I went to Laughlin, Nevada, got a job as a sous chef. And then in Las Vegas, Nevada, I went to Las Vegas, Nevada, and I got a job as assistant executive chef, banquet chef, and then at the age of 24, I was the youngest executive chef ever at a casino in Las Vegas, back then, at 24 years old. And my whole thing was volume. I did a lot of volume jobs. My biggest, I did jobs for 5,000 and 10,000 people all the time. My biggest job was 30,000 people for one event. My biggest series was 1.2 million plates of food in 9 days. This would be the size of my dishwashing team. Yeah, for one shift. This would probably be it for a busy shift. That's probably the busiest shift of the week you can handle it. Yeah. And that's the kind of volume we were doing. And of course, doing catering for a lot of celebrities. And I've had my own catering license for years now, doing celebrity catering. And then what happened, I told you a lot about my story yesterday, but I ended up working for the federal school lunch program. And over at juvenile detention, I worked for the federal school lunch program. And I'll tell you what, not one single time did we ever get fresh fruits and vegetables. This is the federal school lunch program. We got basically bags of eggs, blocks of cheese, meats, bulk meats. Most of the time what we got was pre-made grilled cheese sandwiches, pre-made cheeseburgers, pre-made cholesterol dogs, everything loaded with cholesterol. Pizzas loaded with cheese. Everything was loaded with it. And I didn't think nothing of it at the time, And we were forced, though, to feed that to the kids. And it hasn't changed much over the years. I was just out of school about 6 weeks ago up in Michigan. And the entire school was closed. It was a junior high. They had big, huge banners, expensive banners on the walls saying, drink milk, got milk, things like that. And then their entire menu was loaded with cholesterol. Chicken nuggets and burgers and fingers and wings and all that, everything. And French fries, of course, and some things, and pizzas, and everything was loaded with cholesterol. And so it really hasn't changed much over the years. They didn't even have salads on that menu. And so I got to go, I couldn't film it. Went in and filmed a bunch of it. Put it on my YouTube. That's the way it is out there. It is that bad. And I actually started working for the hospitals. I don't know if any of you know who Sodexo is. Sodexo is the largest hospitality management team on the planet. And in fact, they actually run the commissaries for the military now. They do all the meals for the military. And they're the #1 on the entire planet. I was an executive chef for them. And my job was to open up new hospitals. So I'd go hospital to hospital. They'd fly me into a hospital. I'd be there for a couple of months. I'd train the crew, do the menu designs, get them all in the computers, train the managers, and I would do everything for dietary, for retail, for doctors, the entire 9 yards for the entire property. Get all the vendors in order, and so it was very intense, working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week to get a hospital open. And then I'd go to the next hospital. Sometimes I'd do remodels. And in between hospitals, I had 2 hospitals in Las Vegas that I was at regularly. And so I'd have a month off or something, and they'd park me in one of those 2 hospitals. So I got to meet a lot of those doctors there. And here I am pushing 300 pounds. And I'm going up and down these floors looking at the patients, and I'm just kind of realizing I better do something about myself, or I'm going to end up being one of these people in this hospital. And I started talking to a lot of doctors. I got a lot of friend doctors. And so I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, and the doctors are telling me, they're like, Mark, you got to get off that cholesterol. That's the biggest problem, is getting off that cholesterol. And I told him, I said, well, that's fine. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I'm going to go 40 days without any red meat. Figured that's easy enough. Just go 40 days without any red meat. And I think they were already making bets on me that same day. And so here I go, 40 days. The first 5 days was pretty rough. First 5 days, I was like, man, I don't think I can do this. But I stuck with it. The next 30 days, I was fine. Had no cravings whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, the last 5 days, I started craving red meat again. And I'm like, how is this? I just went 35 days without any red meat. Now I'm going to crave a hamburger? closer it got to my 40 days being up, the more I was craving it. It was like 3 days to go, and I'm getting all excited. I was like, one day left, I called my friends on the phone and say, hey, we're going out for prime rib this weekend. And, in Vegas, we get prime rib for like $6.95. So we get, and all the buffets that are there and stuff, you know where to go. It's really cost effective to eat out there. And but I couldn't figure out the problem. And well, actually, I figured out the problem. Well, and the solution, okay? And that is that we need to make sure that our minds are in control of our bodies instead of our bodies being in control of our minds. Amen? See, that's what's happening out there. People are giving into their bodily cravings. In more ways than one, almost everything in the world, but especially when it comes to diet and food and lifestyles. We are just giving into our bodily cravings. And so, and my doctors were like, yeah, Mark, way to go. 40 days without any red meat, woo-hoo. And, they weren't too enthused about it, but my one doctor, his name's Suresh, he's like, Mark, you got to get off the milk and cheese. That's the worst of anything. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you what. I said, how about if I go on an all-vegan lifestyle, no animal products whatsoever? And he was a pretty strong vegetarian anyway, and without the milk and cheese too. And I told him, I said, how about if I do that? And he says, yeah, whatever you need to do. He says, if you have any problems, just let us know. That's what we're here for. So I went on an all-vegan lifestyle, no animal products whatsoever. That's what I'm doing today, no animal products. Everything's vegan here tonight. And but when I did this, going on a full vegan lifestyle, no animal products, this time I did not put that block wall out there 40 days later for me to run into again. I just said I'm going to get on the path, take it one step at a time, and continue growing, continue learning. If I run into a stumbling block, turn it into a stepping stone and just keep going. You don't want to give up, you just want to continue taking steps, so that's what I did. And all of a sudden, after a couple months of doing this, I started losing weight, I started feeling better. I was like, wow, this is working pretty good. In fact, wait, I got my lab reports back. I got to show you this. I got my lab reports. Just got them back here earlier this year. Now there's 2 years difference in between the two of these, okay? And 60 pounds difference in between the two of these reports. Now my cholesterol, and I was actually getting healthier before I went and took this first blood test. I don't like needles, I'll pass out every time, Sorry, I didn't do it. But my cholesterol used to be at 263. Now my cholesterol's at 118. Yeah, my triglycerides were at 274. Now they're at 91. My HDL went up. My LDL went down. Actually from 159, it went down to 59. Everything. And my protein was just right. Perfect. Calcium, perfect. Now I'm a real ADHD, hypoglycemic, and probably a few other things I don't even know about. But people that are hypoglycemic will flip into diabetics really fast. And my glucose level was at 106. And now it's down to 83, right where it's supposed to be. So instead of being in that high zone, it's right where it's supposed to be. Even my B12 was in the right zone. A little on the low side. He said I might want to take a B12 supplement once in a while. But other than that, everything was perfect. So, yeah, it really works. And, 80 pounds later, and I had to put a new hole in my belt loop. So, I'm like, all right. I'm kind of hitting it like every other day right now. Not every day, but. So, yeah, I really started working on that. Now, one of the things I did, though, I was telling you about this, I created my own pyramid. And what I did, my pyramid, here we go, reversing our thinking again, okay, doing the exact opposite of what society's doing. In society, they have their smallest meal for breakfast, power bar, or nothing out the door. Then they do a bigger lunch and even a bigger dinner. So I turned that whole system upside down. I have my biggest meal for breakfast, a smaller lunch, and a smaller dinner. Now, when you do this, it does a couple really important things for you. The first thing it does, you're not going to be hungry all day long. When you have nothing for breakfast, you're starving yourself all day long. So you have to have bigger meals, and then you have your biggest meal before you go to bed at dinner. Which doesn't make sense. You don't sleep as good, and a whole bunch of other things. And so I had my biggest meal for breakfast. That works so good. And when you have your biggest meal for breakfast, you're going to eat a lot less food throughout the day. And here in America, I mean, we just eat way too much food. So when you eat a big meal for breakfast, you're not hungry, so you're not eating all day long. So you're saving a lot of money that way too. The other thing it does, when you have that biggest meal for breakfast, you're going to have more energy throughout the day. Now when you have more energy throughout the day, you're going to be more active. And when you're more active, you're going to burn more calories throughout the day. That's what helps you lose the weight. That's what helps maintain the weight where you want it to be. You know, being more active and having less calories on your intake. There's a whole bunch of things that work. But I'll tell you, the pounds started coming off. The other thing about having your biggest meal for breakfast, think about it this way. That's the least expensive items to purchase. You ever notice how lunches are more expensive? Dinners are even way more expensive. So you might as well have your biggest intake during the least expensive items to consume, and you're going to save a lot of money that way too. Yeah. Okay, this is looking pretty good. So, now this taco meat right here, the longer you cook it, the saucier it's going to get. I could actually add more water to it, and it's going to get saucier and saucier the longer I cook it. So, if you want it chunky, you would actually just drain the water off of it and cook it quick. But if you want it saucier, you can add more water to it and it'll cook longer, and you're actually breaking down the fiber of that TVP. So this looks pretty good for taco meat right there. I think that's about right where I want it. And that looks pretty good. It looks just like taco meat. Wow. Who would have thought? Okay, we're going to put that right in here. And that easy. And we've got taco meat. In fact, you know what you do? Make some taco meat like this for some guests, okay? Don't tell them what you're making though. Just say, hey, come on over for tacos. And right before you serve it, grab some olive oil, pull it on top. They'll think it's grease. Now, when you guys do the CHIP program here, you have the Coronary Health Improvement Project, don't tell Hans Steele I did that then. Now, I don't know if any of you know the Coronary Health Improvement Project, but they'll actually do all vegan with low oil and low sugar and low salt. So, in fact, I'm not even going to use it. I'm going to do some sauteed onions here, but you can just do a water saute, just hit it with a little bit of water like that. You don't need to use olive oil, or a lot of people use alcohol when they're doing a saute because they're actually deglazing the pan. And the reason people deglaze pans is because they want to get those concentrated flavor fragments off the sides and the bottom of the pan. That's where you get so much really great flavor. It's out of those concentrated flavor fragments. In fact, I can actually take some of this little onion and garlic, put that in there. Make sure we scrape as much Teflon as we can. And lots of Teflon in our food, right? There we go. Yeah, nice flavored Teflon. I like that. Okay. But yeah, you can just do a water saute. No, these are titanium, just to let you know. There's no aluminum here. No, what do you call it, Teflon? Yeah, there's some kind of fumes and different things, and you'll see little chips in your food once in a while. I'm like, oh, thanks.